Welcome to Eviliv3, the live media commentary show that answers the question, is it ever a good idea to befriend the Oklahoma Wildman? Subscribe if you're new to the channel because today we are reviewing FX's Justified City Primeval Season 1, Episode 6, Adios. Well, my initial thoughts of this was, I now fear the Oklahoma Wildman. I didn't know he was quite as ruthless as he actually is, though we've always been sort of told that he is this way, so I shouldn't be a surprise. It's just we haven't been shown that he would down his own friend. That's cold. All right, even though, yes, I think he put together, everything that happened because he's not an idiot, but still. Okay, so this is directed by Sylvain White. It was written by E. Taylor Elmore and V.J. Boyd, and of course it aired this past 15th, my birthday. All right, so this starts with Raylan being visited by Carolyn, who is telling him about the Black Book and about a name in the Black Book. She is doing her best to set up her rival for the judge seat in order to, of course, get the seat, but also help out her boyfriend, Raylan, and, taking care of Clement. Which is kind of the best of all worlds, right? I mean, Raylan is sort of in this position where he's like, I'm not sure I want to do it like this, but I don't see any other possible way of taking care of the Wildman because there's something about him that lets him get away the whole time. And I really like at the end of this, when he's talking to Wendell, he's like, I feel like I'm being played a fool because he constantly is getting away. And he intimates that someone in the cops, the DPD, are somehow helping him get away with all this bullshit. Like he has something on someone. And even though Wendell says he doesn't know anything about that, I think that's what we're going to ultimately find out. Because there's no possible way that this man could get this lucky this many times and never face any repercussions for all of the crimes that he's committed just in this show alone. Just in this episode alone. And yet. So it's really, really surprising. Ultimately, Raylan takes it over to Downey, who is the officer in charge of the case, the judge's case, the death. And he presents it to her like, look, there's some shady shit, but I have it on good authority that this Black Book will be on Mansell if we get one of these people to sort of, one of the names in the book, to agree to pay off Mansell in order to get their page. Then we can set up a sting, grab Mansell, he'll have the book, which is the judge's. If the judge's book is in his hands, ipso facto, Mansell killed the judge and took his book. We can then prosecute him and he will then go to jail. And she's really hesitant about it, but ultimately she realizes that there's no other options. She's already been getting heat from the city and from the governor to get it taken care of. So she realizes that this is probably the best option they have. And so they go ahead and set up the sting, but they only have to convince the prosecutor, Diane, first. They go to her and she's like, hell no, I am not doing that. First of all, in her own head, it ruins my chance at ever being a judge because people are going to know that I was blackmailed. But if we could sort of deal with this, I could get my name out of it. It won't get in the public papers. And they sort of threaten her, basically blackmailing her, saying, if you don't do this, we're going to leak the information. And so she reluctantly agrees. Geez, I need to get my shit. It's hot here, so I just leave a button down here. Ultimately, she agrees. She ends up calling Sweetie. Was it Sweetie? No, she ends up calling. Sweetie answers, and she says that now I'm second guessing. She says that she will pay $30,000 for her page in the judge's book. This is the first time anyone has called Sweetie, so that should be the first thing that sort of clicks in his head. But at this point, he's dealing with side plot B, which I'll get to in just a second. So maybe he's not fully piecing it together. And I say he's not fully piecing it together because he tries to call off his plot B once he finds out the reality of it. So he agrees to the meeting. Here's plot B. Dickie, David Cross's character, goes to an old criminal friend of his named Lonnie and asks him to get his painting that Mansell took from him back. He doesn't care how he does it. He doesn't want to know about any illegalities, any illegal actions. Just get my painting back, basically. And Lonnie needs money. He's hard up. He's living a really shitty life. And so he's like, yeah, I'll go take care of it. No problem. He only has Sweetie as a starting point to find out who Mansell is and where Mansell is. So he goes to the bar while Mansell and Sweetie are sort of talking about the outcome of their latest money-grabbing experience. So before I continue, let's put a pin in where we are with plot B, and we'll talk about the events that happened just before it. So Mansell and Sweetie are shaking down yet another person in the judge's book, and they get, I think it was 15 grand, or they got 12 grand off of him as he went to drop it off. Mansell's sure that he's got the other three on him, so he goes in reverse, hits his car into this Mark's car. The dude runs across the ceiling car park, and Mansell ostensibly throws him off the damn window, or I'm sorry, the damn balcony of it, the top railing. And he's like, it was like a cartoon. He just floated on down. And that line, it was like a cartoon, mixed with all of the other dialogue in this particular episode and most of the other episodes for all of the adults in this show, remind me why I love Justified so much. The writing, the dialogue is so creative and wonderfully written. The first Justified season, I was quoting before it actually said it because it felt natural. It was a natural dialogue and made me really connect with that series. This time, I'm not able to really discern the exact dialogue that comes out, but I'm appreciating all of it. I really am for the adults. So hey, Chris, how you doing, man? So he threw the guy overboard, right, over the edge. He falls down and dies. And then they go back to Mansell's apartment and sort of like freak out about the insanity of it. He's like, Mansell, you're a wild man. You're not paying attention. You're sort of, you have to just accept the 12 instead of the 15. And Mansell's like, look, if he came here and only gave you 12, that tells me he had the other 3 in his person. All I wanted to do was grab that other 3. That's all he had to do. He didn't have to run. He didn't have to make me upset. He didn't have to make me throw him off the rooftop. Okay, like if that's the way you're interpreting it, how can you argue with that? He's a sociopath. And so Sandy is sort of freaking out because she just wants to leave. She wants to go to some island somewhere, Aruba or Jamaica. Ooh, she wants to take you somewhere. And Mansell just needs another good score. So he's like, look, as soon as we get 20 in our pocket, because half of whatever he gets goes to Sweetie, then we can go. And I promise you, we'll leave. You got to trust me, but we're not there yet. And so that's when Sweetie gets the call to come back to his bar because Lonnie is there waiting for him. He goes to the bar, sits down with Lonnie, immediately feels the dude out and realizes he's on the level. Lonnie knows Sweetie is on the level and he has tons of connections and stuff. And he's like, look, all I want is that picture. That's it. You tell me where this guy is. I'll get the picture one way or another, and then I'll leave. And Sweetie sees an opportunity. He knows Lonnie is a killer, or at least he guesses that he is. And so he devises a plan to get rid of Mansell for good. He's going to, and that's when he gets the call. And of course, then he comes back with this plan. So he gets the call about the woman wanting to give the 30 grand in order to get her name out of the black book. Then he goes and sits down with Lonnie. He's like, look, if I can make sure that this guy that you're looking for that painting is in a specific place, would you kill him for me and I'll pay you? And so he slides a bankroll over to him and he tells him that he'll let him keep the 30 grand that's going to be that drop in addition to the roll that he just passed over the table. The dude agrees. And so Sweetie thinks, I'm finally off the hook. First of all, I'm not going to have to deal with the lawyer's book anymore because Mansell's going to be caught with it. I'm not going to have to deal with Mansell anymore because he's going to be killed. I can just go about living my life and not worry about anything anymore. This is freedom, finally. So he thinks everything's great. So he plays this sort of Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer mind game on Mansell when Mansell comes by a little bit later. he's like, look, I'm going to take care of the next shakedown, which is going to be 30 grand. I'm going to meet them in the park at 5 o'clock. You stay here because you threw a dude off of a damn ceiling or off of a rooftop last time, so you can't handle this. And he's like, look, I can handle myself. Let me handle it. He's like, no, you're too crazy. You're not going to be able to deal with it. He's like, don't you trust me, sweetie? I got this. Let me take this job. Basically using childlike reverse psychology on the dude. Hey, it's so much fun painting this white fence. This is great. I wish anyone else could try this. And then all of Tom Sawyer's friends, Huck Finn's friends comes by and they're like, ooh, I want to try it. Let me paint it. This is fun. And then they paint the fence for him. Same exact thing, except Sweetie's playing Mansell. So Mansell goes to this connection. Lonnie's waiting for him. And the sting operation is set up. So Carolyn reaches out to Sweetie, tells him, hey, our troubles are almost over. That whole pickup situation, just be far away from it. Don't be involved in it at all because we've got things in the motions. And that's when Sweetie's like, ah, shit. I can't have Lonnie execute Mansell when there's a damn police sting operation at the same moment. So he tries to contact Lonnie unsuccessfully, leaves a message on his answering machine. And then Lonnie, of course, sees the cops go to pick him up at the joint, and he just walks right off. He ends up coming back to the bar and tells him, look, I heard your message. I knew you didn't try to set me up, but obviously I couldn't take him out. So we have to figure something else out. While he was traveling back to the bar, the police had to let Mansell go because he didn't have the black book on him. I suspect he had the black book in the boombox, which was a point of discussion earlier on in the episode and a point of sort of impact at the very end of this episode. I think that's where he kept the black book, so it's not on his physical person. They didn't think to inspect the boombox, and so they didn't find the black book. Pretty ingenious, or one of the cops who searched him is in on it. So I'm not 100% sure on how this is all planning out, but this is crazy. Like, I'm really digging this. And there's this great scene between Raylan and Mansell where they are overtly threatening each other, and Raylan is being as cool as damn cucumbers as ever. He's just the best. Mansell is being as menacing without overtly saying, I'm going to put a bullet in your face. It's beautiful. Like, these two are going to have a shootout, and I can't wait to see it. I hope it's the very last scene of the very end of this series, because it's so beautiful. But dude walks, and Raylan is infuriated. He can't figure out how the hell this guy gets away with murder. And no one has any evidence. No one will turn on him. And when he is brought to justice, he just walks. It doesn't make any sense, and he feels like he's being played for a fool. So Mansell is going back to Sweetie. He's got to tell them that, it was a setup and that he's, worried that someone else has some information. And then he walks in on Sweetie and Lonnie talking. He saw Lonnie approach him and walk away at the sting. And so, damn it. Again, I got to keep moving my mouse or else it freezes up. So he knows Lonnie is part of something. He hasn't figured that out yet. But knowing now that Sweetie was part of it, he thinks, of course, he's trying to off me, or he was part of the sting, or in either case, Lonnie needs to go. And so he caps Lonnie right there in the bar without any warning, without anything. Then he pulls up the boombox, puts in a tape of him singing Seven Nation Army, and he's like, what do you think about my singing? Sweetie goes and tries to find the gun that he stashed behind the jukebox, but it's not there. So someone moved it. I think it was probably Sweetie's boyfriend that's helping him sort of watch the bar from time to time, but I'm not 100% sure where it is. So that's out there somewhere. And Sweetie basically, in cold blood, shoots his friend in the chest and stares in his eye, watching him die. Cold as hell. And it's, again, like I said, is my initial impression. This is the first time that I was actually afraid for Raylan about Mansell, that he is a cold-blooded killer and you won't see it coming. he's just that cool that he can keep it under wraps, or that much of a sociopath that he can keep his emotions under wraps. Super amazing episode. I can't believe it. I have to give this, you know what? This is wrong. I didn't even set this up. I was in the middle of a different show just a second ago, and so I didn't have time. But I'm giving this episode 5 evil eyes, and it earns every single one of them. The writing was on point. The actors were on point. The entire story itself, the narrative, was on point. And it got me chomping at the bit to see what happens next between Mansell and Raylan. And we only have 2 episodes left. Shit is getting heavy. Oh, yeah, and just sort of a throwaway line, that picture that Mansell loves so much to go back to Dickie and take from his office, his girlfriend Sandy went to an art dealer to sell it. So we got to see the fallout of that, too. Oh, this is such a great show. Justified City Primeval, you dirty bastard. I can't wait. So I hope you guys get an opportunity to watch this. If you like modern interpretations of old Westerns, because really that's what Justified is, you got to check out this series. And Justified City Primeval, I was a little hesitant at first, and not all of the episodes or characters land well for me, but this one really did. It was great. Do yourselves a favor and check it out. As always, remember that evil spelled backwards is live, so get out there and be evil. Don't shoot your friends, though. Be cool with your friends.